Hello and welcome back. We've got the usual mix of exciting news for you today, so stick around for all of the details. And we're going to get straight into the news with some Chinese EV news. Now, look, I've been saying for a long time the Chinese EVs are coming, but when I say that, I think people assume small, cheap, budget. Now, you know that I own an MG ZS EV, and my partner in crime here, Blake, you've driven the MG, you've reviewed it. It's a fine car, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It does the job that it has to do, but holy moly, there's a new one coming from Nio, the ET7. This is, I think, if people were to drive this, probably reprogram their brain a little bit about what it means to drive a Chinese electric vehicle. Now, look, before we go any further, yes, I know there are certain issues that people have with buying cars from China, and we're going to put them aside a little bit just for now and talk about the vehicle, the Nio ET7. Earlier in March, we saw the first customer deliveries at their HQ. It's their fourth production vehicle. It's their second-gen platform, and some really interesting things around this in terms of the battery packs and battery as a service. But I'll tell you, it's costing about $70,000 equivalent in China. So yeah, premium, right? But it feels premium. It looks premium. Blake, what's your take on this car?
I think it looks stunning. I really do. And I'm just so happy to see that kind of a form factor in a vehicle these days. I really am just getting a little bit tired of all the premium SUVs out there, So really, really excited to see this. And a range of battery packs as well. So it's, I think, 75, 100, and then they're talking about the 150 kilowatt hour pack. I cannot get my head around those kind of numbers, just massive.
And what's so great about the battery as a service model, and I say that as someone who's owns two Renault Zoes. I still own the ZE40 at the moment, at least, and I don't have any issue with battery leasing. It costs £59 a month, whatever it is. I don't even know. But let's face it, with the rising petrol and gas prices, the lease that I pay on the Renault battery, so I get a big chunk off the price when I buy the vehicle, I'm paying Renault a little bit each month. That's still cheaper than a tank of fuel to fill up, of course, if I were to go to the petrol station. But the interesting thing about battery as a service is that on those Nio vehicles, it's the same physical dimensions. And so you might choose to have a 75 kilowatt hour pack 50 weeks of the year. But you know that for 2 weeks of the year, maybe you're doing a load of road tripping, you can go in, you can get that 150 kilowatt hour pack, pay a little bit of a premium, and it all works on the same battery swap station. I find it interesting, I don't know about you, that people can't get their head around battery swapping. But I do understand those people because they buy the car, much like they buy, I don't know, a TV or a microwave, and they want the car on their driveway to be theirs, not paying another lease on the battery. Where do you stand on battery leasing, battery as a service, battery swapping, etc.?
I'm a huge fan of it. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to play out over the coming decade, and I don't know exactly what's going to work and what's going to work in different regions. But I mean, I'm all for it. Like, you've leased a couple of batteries on your cars and it worked. And I would really, really like to do that with some of the vehicles as well. I don't want to have to go out and spend 60,000 on a new car that I'm really only going to need the capacity of that for maybe 1 week a year. And to touch on a point you made a minute ago there, like the usable battery in my Nissan Leaf now at this stage is down to about 22, 23 kilowatt hours. And that's fine for 99% of my driving, and I still do 10 or 15,000 miles a year, So the idea that for 1 week a year, when I go and go down to the swap station, get a new battery pack, I'm going to get the 80 kilowatt hour pack just for a week because I'm heading down the country for a holiday, and that's all I need. I could go on and on about this. I'm going to stop now. Maybe we'll do another episode fully all about that in the future.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. So let's talk a little bit now about reasons to go electric. And I've said before on this show, there are many reasons that we all go electric, but from a kind of a top level rulemaking kind of point of view, I think California has done a huge amount, China's done a lot, and the European Union has done a lot by putting in fines for, at least here in the EU, well, I'm not in the EU anymore, but in Europe at least, certain fines for exceeding CO2 emissions. So not saying to the car makers, you must build EVs, but saying, hey, build what you want, but if you exceed these CO2 emissions, we're going to be issuing big fines. Now, the US National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, is issuing more fines, awaiting publication in a couple of months for it to be confirmed. There's a bit of back and forth at the minute over the last few years as the Obama administration went to the Trump administration, to the Biden administration. But what we're looking for, what we're looking at rather, is the potential for some really big fines to be dished out. This is a really interesting way to nudge the car makers towards EV. So rather than saying, you must make EV, you must make hydrogen cars, and dictating the technology, instead putting in financial penalties for doing what we don't want them to do. Kind of carrot and stick, if you like. Where do you stand on this?
Yeah, it has to be done. Were they ever going to do it on their own? Were they ever even going to start thinking about it if Tesla didn't come along and nudge things? But in fairness to car manufacturers, and especially the legacy ones, the ones that have been around for a century, they need very, very certain and very, very precise kind of roadmap on how they will do that as well. You know, it's as much as I berate them sometimes, they do need that. So the fact that they understand now that for every 0.1 of a mile per gallon that I don't hit the target, I lose $14 or $15 as it will be. It's very precise. They know exactly what they have to do. Guys, you've no excuses now. Just go and do it. I think maybe that's a little bit coarse, but that's where I stand, you know.
And it doesn't sound much, $14 to $15 fines. And yeah, I should have mentioned at the beginning, this is not a CO2, it's an MPG, it's an efficiency thing with their combustion cars. But tighten the rules, and sure, you can carry on making those combustion cars if you want to. We're getting over here with the Euro 7 regulations. You can meet them. It's just really expensive with R&D, and it's just much more convenient just to make electric cars. And so various tools, like I say, carrot sticks, that you can use as we look to clean up the air. Now, moving on, let's talk about a car that I know lots of our viewers are going to be really interested in, because when you see these kind of one-off projects, especially with a brand like Mini that has so many fans around the world, then people get excited about it. This is the Mini Evo, Racing Mini Evo. I mean, just look at this car. It's a specialist hill climb car. It competed in Romania's National Hill Climb Championship previously, but it's getting more upgrades this time. And look, you know, Mini is a light car. It is a small car. Minis aren't mini, if that makes any sense, you know, compared to the original small Italian job Mini since BMW owned it. But of course, they are still a smaller car. That is, you know, I've had one. It was the Cooper, but not the Cooper S, and it was like it was a great little rocket ship that was on rails. I loved it. If that could have been electric, I would have been so happy. I'm going about 10 years when I had the Mini.
I did my driving test in a Mini Cooper.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, imagine if that had been electric, that'd be so cool. Hey, there's another topic that we need to cover off on this show at some point, and that is electric driving lessons. But a whole different day, we'll talk about that. So what do you make of these kind of one-off cars, these cars that get pressed, that get people excited, these halo cars, if you like?
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? It brings a bit of attention to the electric world. Like that car is going to turn up in Romania at the National Hill Climb Championship now coming up, and it's going to just coast past people at a frightening speed. And they go, where's the sound? Where's the engine roar? What is an electric car can do that? I thought that just delivers my milk. No.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. It blows people away. See those drag race videos on YouTube? It's a whole subsection of YouTube of electric cars just, you know, melting away combustion cars. We better move on, and we'll talk Polestar. And Polestar is a brand that's doing so many things right. Whenever we do a Polestar video story, it gets a great reaction. And now the US is getting an entry-level single-motor version. Both of the versions have a 78 kilowatt-hour battery. The big difference, though, is performance. So 4.5 seconds, 0 to 60. For the dual motor, 7 seconds for the rear-wheel drive. But as we've had some recent price rises for the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y, and of course you don't get in the US at least, the federal tax credit applied to Tesla because it's now expired. All of a sudden, entry-level, single-motor, Polestar, get it for maybe, depending on where you are, because there are some state-level incentives in the US for our US viewers, around $35,000. Holy moly, this looks like a really interesting car to get if you don't need all-wheel drive. Now, what do you think of this?
Yeah, well, like this is the point, and I'm always nervous saying things like this because the Tesla fans really don't like it, but some people just don't like Elon Musk. They just don't like the feel and the look of a Tesla. I'm sorry, I'm not saying that's exactly my opinion, but that is the way that some people are. And they see the price difference in in the Polestar compared to a Model 3, for example. And we did a video quite recently comparing those two, which is good. People can go check that out if they want. And for some people, it's just a really compelling option. For them, it's just a no-brainer. Yeah, they're going to have the Polestar. They like the quality, the feel of it. It goes fast enough. It goes far enough. What else is there? listening.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So look, hey, what are you driving this week or coming up soon that we can talk to our viewers about?
Yeah, well, looking for it. We released the E2008, the Peugeot video there last week. So I'm actually dropping that back today. Once we finish recording this, Martin, I'm straight over to the depot to drop that back. But I'm swapping it for its little brother, could we call it, the E208, which I actually had the exact same car nearly a year ago, at least 6 months ago anyway. So really excited to get that back for another week now and do some more testing in that and get a feel for it, because it's been out for pretty much a year now, you know. So it's really had time to settle in. Looking forward to seeing what it's like again.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see your video on that and an updated review with you for the channel. I'm really looking forward to it because it's not my favorite EV. I find the inside a little bit too busy. I find it a bit clunky. I find the steering wheel too small. But again, Tesla owners don't mind a small steering wheel. But so for me, but my wife loves it. For me, the inside, I didn't like it. I found it, the one that I drove, very dark materials. It felt a little bit almost oppressive inside. It didn't feel light and open like some EVs can do. It felt very like a combustion car that happened to be electric. And hey, that's the right thing for so many people. My wife loves the Zoes that we've had because it feels like a combustion car. It's got very weak regen, our Zoe, and so she uses the brake pedal. It's very analogous to driving a combustion car. I like strong regen, one pedal driving. I like the minimalism of Tesla. I like that tech advantage of driving an EV. Hey, man, Mrs. She just wants to feel like she's driving a car. She's comfortable, and she learned to drive in a Peugeot 208, I think. So right. She would probably like this, but I can't wait to get your opinion and a new video on this.
Should be coming up soon.
Can't wait for that. Hey, what's your highlights of the news today?
I like the Mini thing because I did my driving test in a Mini Cooper going back many, many years ago. So it's always got a special place in my heart. So I think that's the one. I would. Oh, a nice little trip over to Romania for the two of us to watch that hill climb. Maybe that's an idea, Martin.
I'm up for that. If the boss wants to pay, I'm up for that. I love that story about the Polestar going rear-wheel drive. It makes more options is always good. If you don't need all-wheel drive. Well, thank you very much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the stories today. Join us on Facebook. There's a new group called A Best Electric Vehicle we've set up, posting pictures and discussing EVs in there as well. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Tells us you liked it, and we'll make more just like it. And we'll see you on the next one.